But the goalpost for Caitlin continues to move. It's like the better she does, the further they move their expectations or what she would need to do.
Can you believe it? The rookie prodigy Caitlin Clark, who has been dominating the WNBA, was recently passed over for MVP. But things get much stranger. Rachel DeMita is going to blow the lid off this entire situation because she can't stand it any longer.
Because at this point, it would once again just be a hit on her. It would just be keeping her out so that we didn't praise the golden child too much.
You're not going to want to miss what she has to say about the WNBA's decision.
The WNBA just released their 2024 MVP ladder. Asia Wilson 1, Nafisa Collier 2, Sabrina Ionescu 3, Breanna Stewart 4, Alyssa Thomas 5, and honorable mentions, Caitlin.
You won't want to miss her thoughts on the NBA's final decision.
Caitlin Clark. I think she should be up for MVP. Rookie of the Year, foregone conclusion.
Because I claimed that Caitlin Clark should be in this MVP conversation.
Let's take a moment to discuss Clark. She has been dominating, averaging over 25 points per game since the All-Star break. And what's more, she has the Indiana Fever sitting pretty with a 14-6 record. Why isn't she mentioned in the MVP discussion?
Like, you cannot even have any kind of constructive conversation around MVP unless you preface it by saying, well, I already know that Asia Wilson won. Like, that's the standard. If you talk about this conversation, which I think is a little weird, I feel like we should be able to just talk about.
Rachel DeMita is refusing to back down from her stance against the WNBA's ruling. You'll want to hear DeMita's strong thoughts about why Clark should be on that ladder, I promise.
But I think MVP. Now, I'm going to look at this the way I did with Michael Jordan. Now, she's not the Michael Jordan of her sport as far as athleticism, playing, dominating. But Asia Wilson is the best player in the game. Not even a debate. But I'm talking about value now. Value to a franchise, value to a league, getting your team in the playoffs. They had the #1 pick. They were the worst team last year. And there is value that I can attach to that. Now, that might not fit in the categories that everybody would, consider for MVP. I'm talking about value. Michael Jordan was the most valuable player every single year because of what he meant to his team and what he meant to the league. And, oh, by the way, winning 6 titles. Can't argue with that. Caitlin Clark may not win titles. Las Vegas is still a great team. But the fact that she is doing what she's doing and at a very high level, it's now commonplace where she'll go for 26 and 12.
However, this is where things start to become fascinating. Rachel is going to show us why the WNBA may have just made a major error. The statistics are in, and they're presenting a picture that will cause you to reevaluate everything you believed to be true about the MVP race. How does Caitlin Clark actually compare to the so-called frontrunners? The answer may surprise you.
The fact that she is doing what she's doing and at a very high level, it's now commonplace where she'll go for 26 and 12. I mean, those are great numbers for any player, no matter how long you've been in the league. She's learned how to play the game, and she said, I had to learn how to play the WNBA way.
Let's dissect it. Clark is exceptional. She's leading the WNBA in points generated, which includes both points scored and points she's accountable for through assists. She's a dual threat who isn't just filling out the stat sheet, she's rewriting it.
At number 5 should not be Alyssa Thomas. Getting to the honorable mention, they have Caitlin Clark, and this is what they had to say about Caitlin Clark. While the Fever underwent understandable woes in the first month of the season, Indiana is 14-6 over their last 20 games, including 2 massive wins coming out of the All-Star break. Clark has found a synergy with her teammates and elite comfort on the floor as a facilitator and creator. She's knocking on the door of first-team All-W and top 5 finish in MVP voting. I don't think she's knocking on the floor of first team. I think she's in there, and I'm gonna go out on a limb right here and say that she is top 3.
However, when you contrast Clark with the other MVP contenders, you'll understand why Rachel DEA is so enraged. Clark is providing more assists, grabbing more steals, and making more three-pointers per game than a number of players who are rated higher on the MVP ladder. How is that even possible?
My top 3, Asia Wilson, Caitlin Clark, and Nafisa Collier. If we look at their stats, Asia wipes the floor with both of them. The only categories that she doesn't have are assists, 3-point percentage, and free throw percentage. Caitlin has all of those.
Think about it. Players like Alyssa Thomas, Brianna Stewart, and Sabrina Ionescu are ranked higher on the MVP ladder. But are their stats really better than Clark's? The numbers don't seem to add up. It's got fans and analysts alike scratching their heads, wondering what's really going on behind the scenes.
She is tied for steals with Nafisa. And if you watch Asia play, you can see how she dominates the game. Like, she's an incredible player. I don't think that I have to beat that point into your heads. You guys get it. If you watch Asia play, she's a great basketball player. Is she a better player overall right now than Caitlin Clark and Nafisa Collier? Yes. Is she a more valuable player to her team than Caitlin Clark and Nafisa Collier? That is where I'm not sure. And that's where we can start to have this conversation.
Now you might be thinking, well, but she's just a rookie, right? Well, let me blow your mind. Remember Candace Parker's legendary rookie season in 2008? Well, guess what? Clark is surpassing Parker in key stats like assists and steals, and Parker was averaging 18.5 points per game that year. Why isn't Clark hired on the MVP ladder? That's the big question, and Rachel Dida is furious because she didn't hold back when she said that if Caitlin Clark isn't on the ballot, it would just be keeping her out so that we don't praise the golden child too much.
The MVP award is subjective. It's very hard to just go by numbers and hand out this award. We saw it this season with the NBA MVP award when the Joker won it again 3 years in a row, and Shaq came out and said, I respect your game. However, I think Shai Gilgeous-Alexander should have won the award.
I'm not happy with this one. Congratulations to Joker, you are the best big man in the league, but based on everybody's criteria, my criteria, stats, stat stuffer, you guys' criteria, number one seed, which team has a better record, I felt Shai Alexander
Consider
deserved.
it. Although players like Alexandra Ionescu, Brianna Stewart, and Alyssa Thomas are higher on the MVP ladder, do their stats actually surpass Clark's? The figures don't seem to match up, leaving both fans and experts perplexed and wondering what's actually happening behind the scenes.
There are so many different ways that you can interpret this MVP award. That's why when I hear media and WNBA analysts saying like, it's unanimous, it's Asia, if you think any other way, you're just absolutely wrong. Like, I don't think that's actually fair to say, because I think that there's a case to be made for Caitlin, and there's also a case to be made for Nafisa, and there might also be a case to be made for Stewie, simply because the Liberty have been so dominant this season.
Is there another factor at work here? Regardless of the cause, it is evident that the NBA's evaluation standards are causing some significant concern. Wait before you start doing the maths. There is something you should know about the actual selection process for MVPs. Even specialists cannot agree on this method, but Rachel Dida offers some insights that will cause you to re-evaluate every aspect of the WNBA's decision-making process.
And her backcourt mate, Kelsey Mitchell, she's wonderful too. You talk about offense, you're going to get 50-plus points a game out of your backcourt. Pretty impressive.
You may wonder why Clark isn't higher on the MVP ladder given her impressive achievements, but that's where things get tricky. First, let's discuss what MVP actually means. Is it just about the numbers? Rachel Dida is breaking it down, and what she says will blow your mind. By drawing comparisons to previous NBA MVP arguments, data is highlighting the fact that the MVP award is far more subjective than you might imagine, and demonstrating the ongoing controversy around the selection of the most important player.
At Candace Parker's stat line for the 2008 season, she averaged 18.5 points per game. Caitlin is currently averaging more points than that. Candace has more rebounds by a solid amount. But look at these other stats. Caitlin is averaging more assists, more steals, more three-pointers per game, and a higher free throw percentage. Also, Candace Parker is not a point guard, she's a 4. So they're different positions. Caitlin is right there, if not putting up better numbers than Candace did during her rookie season.